Hi there. This is Janice Masters, the Shaman Mama from janicemasters.com. And if you'd like to visit my website, you can read about the work that I do with women to create change that matters. The women I work with are already living good lives, good lives. And yet there's something stuck that they want to release, get the energy moving, and manifest something spectacular. So, hey, Megan, thank you for being here. And Susan, thank you for being here. So we're going to talk about a topic that I really, really love. This is a phrase that I coined a while ago, your personal glass ceiling. Hey, Joan, thank you so much for being here. We all know what a glass ceiling is in corporate and in political arenas, but we don't always think about the fact that we might have a personal glass ceiling that stops us from reaching a level that we'd really like to get to. So, as usual, you're going to get a card reading today before we get started. Okay. Oh, it's so nice to see you here. Thank you for joining. So I chose a card from my favorite Gaia Oracle deck, which is this one. And as usual, Spirit always comes through with some amazing guidance. This card is called Attachment, Letting Go, Restriction, Fear. Okay? Remember, we're talking about your personal glass ceiling. So let's see what the Gaia Oracle booklet has to say about this reading. You believe that you're in a situation that you cannot free yourself from, afraid to let go and walk away because of a deep sense of duty, commitment, or guilt. And bear in mind, we're talking about all levels of experience in life, okay? Perhaps you feel that you'll hurt or disappoint someone if you let go. Whatever the reason, you feel you have no choice but to stay where you are. The emotional attachment is great and the fear is overwhelming. The fact that you picked this card today is no coincidence. The message is clear. You're being encouraged to face your fears. Do not listen to that fearful voice any longer. Beyond the fear is a space of love and light which is guiding you and urging you to break free. Trust. Initially, there will be some upheaval, but eventually all will turn out well for all concerned. You deserve to feel light and free. Summon the power of love within you and ask it to guide you and give you the strength to do what you know is right. And the affirmation is beautiful. I am free from all negative attachment. I am guided by the power of life, of love. I look beyond my fears and see only love. I deserve to be happy. I choose to follow my heart. So I don't know about you, but perfect. Thank you, Spirit. I mean, I truly shuffle and cut and shuffle and cut and randomly pick a card, just concentrating on the topic that we're focusing on today. Susan says, love the angel cards. Joan says, OMG, my mom. Susan says, OMG, Janice, this is exactly what I'm in the middle of right this moment. Okay, good. So this is going to be juicy. And if we need more time, then we'll do this again on Thursday. We'll carry forth with the same topic. So what are you the most frustrated with right now in your life? Because that's going to give you a major clue, if you don't already know what it is, to what your personal glass ceiling is. What's the thing you wrestle with the most? What's the thing, oh, and gosh, I talk about this all the time with respect to the spiral path of life. What's that issue that you keep circling through and circling through and circling through? And your ego says, I can't believe you're still dealing with this issue. Come on, haven't you spent enough time on it? The fact of the matter is, we never go through the same issue in the same way twice. It's never even the same issue when we go through it again and again. And we are most certainly not the same person we were when we went through the issue last time. Okay? So Share, if you're willing, what's the thing you're most frustrated with? What is the thing you wrestle with the most? And let's get in touch with the fact that this is evidence that a part of you is fearful. A part of you is saying, okay, kiddo, till here no more. I'm not letting you go any farther. I'm afraid to let you go on the other side of that great divide, that personal glass ceiling. We know what it feels like in political and in corporate realms. If you're paying attention to the politics, and if you're paying attention to, if you've worked in corporate, you know the frustration that comes when you know you've got the goods, you've got the expertise, you've got the smarts, you've got the training. And for women, the only thing you don't have is a part of anatomy, right? Okay, but that's not what's going on here. Susan said, the issue isn't exactly mine, it's made out to be mine. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what that means, so maybe you'll say more about it so we can understand that more clearly. Jones says, except in corporate, they cover it up with false reasons. Yes, well, we do that too. We do that too. We've got a whole story going on about why I can't get past this point around this issue. Okay? We come up with all kinds of false reasons. We establish all kinds of limiting beliefs. Because remember, we're telling a story about this. If we have a personal glass ceiling, then we're telling a story about till here no more. You can't go any farther. You can't go there. You're not allowed. That's not for you. Okay? But it's not a boss that's saying that. It's ego. Now, we understand, and we're not trying to get rid of ego. I've talked about this many, many times. Ego's job is to preserve and protect us. Okay? But ego gets very overwrought with the need for safety. And so ego imposes limits that ego thinks is going to protect us from some kind of harm or embarrassment or, something bad. And it's almost always overdone, overblown, too much. And so we don't get to reach beyond our upper limits. Because ego is saying, no, you're not allowed. You can't go there. It's like mommy saying when you're little, you can't cross the street, it's dangerous. Joan says ego gets nervous when we push those limits. Yes, and that's why it isn't such a great idea to just keep, muscling through, which is why I don't use words like breakthrough or smash or destroy when it comes to this personal glass ceiling. Okay? This is a two-pronged approach that we take. One is that we have to understand, what is it made of? What's the construction of this personal glass ceiling? What are the beliefs? What are the rules? What are the shoulds? What are the shouldn'ts? And the other is to trust that when we become more of a vibrational match for what we want that's on the other side of that personal glass ceiling, then it all just dissolves and there's no barrier to it. So, it always comes back to me. How do I need to change me? Change isn't about what's out there. It's always about what's in here. I'll give you a very personal example. I have been, until I entered menopause, which was for me many years ago, my weight really wasn't an issue. I, had a very nice slim trim figure and I worked out and hormonal changes led to weight gain. Number of other life experiences also led to me gaining weight. And so for a long time, I focused on the food, the exercise. Well, I'm going to put it into this context. If I've got that personal glass ceiling that tells me you can't go beyond this with your body, I'm not going to let you. And I keep focusing on the external elements like food and exercise, I'm not going to get there. The ceiling is not going to dissolve. And so recently I got in touch with, and it just, oh my gosh, you know how when you have a thought and you shift your thinking about something and your whole being just goes, ah, that's it. That's what I've been waiting for. And that shift for me was not to think about food with respect to calories and carbs and fats and blah, 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 and not to think about exercise in those conventional terms either, but to think of it all in terms of a question. Does it raise or does it lower my vibration? And not just food, but activities as well. And so I'm charting, I'm journaling, I'm tracking everything that I do food-wise and everything that I do activities-wise with either an up arrow, a sideways arrow, or a down arrow. It either raises my vibe, it's neutral, or it lowers my vibe. And the shift has been really significant for one major reason. I have no resistance to doing this. This is a completely different paradigm. Okay, and so we'll see if it's dissolving and eliminating my personal glass ceiling around this issue. But the point is that I'm the one who needs to shift in order to be in alignment with what I believe is on the other side of that personal glass ceiling. Okay, so tell me what you're dealing with that feels like a personal glass ceiling, and what kinds of changes you think you might have to make in order to be more aligned with what you believe is on the other side of that personal glass ceiling, so that it can just evaporate, dissolve, poof, gone. You know, we're the ones ultimately who established what author Gay Hendricks calls the upper limit. Joan says, other people's expectations of me versus what I have evolved into. Yeah, when we put people-pleasing into the mix, then we do have a tendency to stop ourselves based on wanting to please others rather than being authentically true to ourselves. Absolutely. Very good point. So, you know, we need to look at, okay, what's the upper limit I've established here in order to keep ourselves safe. And Joan gives a very good example of how ego wants to keep us safe. In that kind of situation, ego wants us to get the approval of others so that they don't get angry or upset with us. And that's ego's way of keeping us safe in a childish context, we could say. Okay, what we really want is to be able to release energy and creativity and ultimately our power to choose and to act. Sometimes what's really helpful is paying close enough attention to the fact that there even is a personal glass ceiling that you start to get pissed off about that. Joan says, and we tend to stay at the same level for which we were raised, our belief systems, those we hang with. Absolutely. Absolutely. All of these limiting beliefs have their genesis in our past. We either learned it from parents, teachers, culture, society, relationships, interactions, our peer group. Yeah, and it's all in there. And our job is to look at it all and say, does this still serve me? Susan says, that's exactly it, Joan. The reason someone is in trouble is entirely their own fault due to bad decisions, but they try to put the blame on me for not being or doing something. This has been going on for at least 10 years. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. Yeah. It's really clever to try to pass the buck, isn't it? And so, it's a tricky situation, Susan, or it could be a tricky situation, because in setting the limits and not taking that on, then you're ultimately creating a change in the relationship that goes up against that approval seeking. Amelia, very nice to see you here. Thank you. We're talking about personal glass ceilings, the upper limits that our ego and limiting beliefs put in place to keep us from going farther in directions that we consciously want to go in. Yeah. Joan says, yes, that's it, Susan, pointing fingers at you versus themselves. Okay, that's all true. And yet, okay, in order to dissolve my own personal glass ceiling, it's so corny, but it's so true. I can point a finger at them, but there's three pointing back at me. It's always going to end up with me having to take responsibility for myself and me having to make a decision about whether or not I'm willing to get into better alignment with what it is I say that I want. Now, I have a group on Facebook called The Art of Miracles. And what we do there is we create change that matters. Okay? And so if I'm going to create change that matters, my focus can't be out there. As a matter of fact, even focusing on the miracle that I want to manifest can only be a little tiny small fraction of the process that I engage in. It keeps coming back here. It keeps coming back here. It keeps coming back here. And what we do is and this is a whole other topic, which we can talk about maybe next week. But it all comes back to, what is my shadow up to? I know where I'm Little Mary Sunshine or Susie Cream Cheese, okay? We know all the wonderful things about me. You know all the wonderful things about you. But where is my shadow driving the bus at the moment? So we could go back to Susan's situation, and I'm assuming that there's some righteous anger in there, which is not shadow at all, but if we keep it suppressed, then it becomes shadow. I don't know how much you've confronted the situation, or what kinds of boundaries or limits you've set to not take on the blame and the guilt and the responsibility. And by the way, I have no idea who this issue is with that Susan has, but for anybody here who's a mom, please, okay? It's like unless we face our shadow, there's a main line from being a mom to feeling guilty. And I mean, I have, over the past many years, told my son, he doesn't even try anymore, but I have told him, you know what? I disengaged the guilt button. I don't have a guilt button anymore. Guilt tripping doesn't work. I'm so very clear about the fact that I've been a good enough mother, and I don't strive to be the Madonna. I'm a good enough mother. And so whatever shit you're dealing with is yours, buddy. Okay? And so I say that. Susan says, yes, there's a lot from her and me. What do you mean? Tell me what you mean by that. I also want us to just get a sense of how much energy is bound up when I want so badly whatever's on the other side of that personal glass ceiling. And I believe that there is a barrier. There is a barrier to it. And fear, guilt, anger, yes, okay, yes. Megan said, I'd say I have two glass ceilings, but I'm realizing they both have the same ending/theme. I'm so close to finishing 2 teaching credentials that would enable me to gain a job with a steady income with safety net of retirement, a career I love, and yet somehow I keep running into more loopholes to jump through in order to get there. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a good awareness that what you thought might have been 2 glass ceilings really is the same upper limit. And so we really need to look at, what's the fear? Why would ego need to set a limit around that? What could possibly happen if I got to that level that's on the other side of that glass ceiling? And if I got there without obstruction, without resistance, without difficulty, because we've all had the experience that when we get clear, the way is just as clear as the sidewalk somebody shoveled of snow. Whoosh! No obstacles, no resistance. So let me see if I can scroll down here. Well, no, it's not going to let me. Hopefully the comments will keep moving. So again, let me come back to what we want is to be able to release energy, creativity, and our own personal power. Not just to choose, but to act. Okay? Because saying I choose to be in my power is one thing, but acting from it, and again, I'm going to say, because we're all women here, that there is a people-pleasing component that we are confronted with. Very often, when we decide to empower ourselves, one of the things that's thrown into that mixing bowl is, how are other people going to react to this? And am I willing to deal with that? So I'd like to invite you to come over to my Art of Miracles Facebook group and come and join us, because we're playing with all of this stuff there. And also, I'll put a link to that group in the comments, and also going to let you know about a very inexpensive online course that I created a number of years ago about dealing with spiritual challenges. Megan says, yes, why am I not releasing my own personal power and creativity? Need to explore how to let go and listen to me, how to let go and fly free. Try saying that 3 times fast. Yes, 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 Megan, absolutely. I support that completely. Susan says, I'm going to try I've disengaged the guilt button. Oh, let me tell you what, it feels so good to say that. You know, just imagine yourself with a great big guilt button in your solar plexus, because that's where it is for most of us, and you've gone in and you've snipped all the wires. It's not a live button anymore. As my little grandson said when he was first starting to talk, it not working. It not working. Okay, so yes, yes, yes. So I'm also going to put a link to a very inexpensive, under $20, online course I created several years ago, which is about spiritual lessons that we've chosen, the challenges that we go through, and how to get when we finally have received a lesson and no longer need the experience. It's called Who Signed Me Up for This? Okay, so I'll put a link to that in the comments also. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to comment or ask before we close? So I try to keep these live streams between 20 and 25 minutes, respecting your time and mine. Okay, well, remember this card. Remember that you may have some fear about letting go of current restrictions and limits. And it may be that ego is just being overly zealous and trying to protect you. As I tell my clients, you really don't need that much safety. Susan says, I put so much sweat, tears, time, and money into trying to fix these self-inflicted crises. Bad decisions I was not involved in making. Why should I be responsible for the outcome? You shouldn't. That's the thing, you know. Everybody's on their own path. Whether it's a child, whether you're the mother, or no matter what responsibility we may have felt in the past, I'm not responsible for anybody else's life path and the way it unfolds. That's probably 40 or 50 years ago. A poet wrote a book called The Mother Knot, K-N-O-T. Okay, sometimes we really need to work at unraveling that knot and releasing ourselves. We're not responsible for our children when they're grown the way they were when they were infants or toddlers or babies. Okay, it's a really important shift to make, and that's a very important question to ask. Why should I be responsible for the outcome of somebody else's decisions? I can't come up with any reason why you should be responsible for that. Okay, so let me know. Message me, get a hold of me somehow. Let me know if you want to pursue this topic on Thursday, because I will do another live stream at noon Eastern Daylight Time on Thursday, and I'd be happy to put this this topic on the table again, because it's a big one, it's a meaty one, it's a juicy one. Okay? So this is Janice Masters, the Shaman Mama from janicemasters.com, and I will see you around. And if you would like private sessions with me, they're always about creating change that matters. Thank you, Susan. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your presence here. And big virtual hug from around the world, wherever we all are. Love you. Bye-bye.